agent is on your TV. Call it Facebook laptop or your PC, whatever you call it. I love that part. That is the best part of all parts. Ah, man. Alright. If you're new to this, welcome to STS. The S stands for special. Now, seriously, welcome to STS. It's October 21st. We are now 10 days away from what used to be the best non-holiday there ever was. I still find it funny that people get, Columbus Day off when he didn't do anything except for get a lot of people killed. And yet he gets a day off, in memory of him. We if you work for a federal job, you get the day off because of this moron that didn't know where he was even floating. But there's a certain kind of minutia to it. There's when you really get into the minutia of it, it's more than just trying to celebrate someone for an action they didn't actually do. For us, and I speak for Italians. For us, it was really more of just our day where we got to celebrate our heritage. And I'm all for that. I just think that having it under false pretenses is just a little weird. So, I never like to say happy Indigenous People Day because, again, being Italian, it's just not how we were brought up, and it's not who we were told to respect. And again, it's all from where you come from and how you were raised and all that stuff. I made a much shorter episode yesterday, and it was all because of our friend Sal, who's killed basically defending the store that he loved. And it was something that it definitely could have been something that was easily avoided. What also really bothered me about the whole situation was the simple fact, hey Christine, how you doing? Welcome to the show. The saddest part is that Sal was he wasn't just the guy that worked at the store, he wasn't just the guy that worked at the nearby store. He was the kind of guy that if you're buying a loaf of bread and you didn't have enough money for it, he would take it out of his own pocket, and I've seen him do it. He was the kind of guy that wouldn't throw away old food. He'd be the kind of guy that would give it away, a few days before expiration. And for anyone to say, like, oh, it's still expired food, most foods are actually not expired by the expiration date. The expiration date is more of a suggestion rather than an ironclad uh, rule to make sure you throw this away immediately. Even milk can go 2 weeks beyond its expiration date before it even smells funny. Now, when it smells funny, okay, throw it out. But my point is that this should have completely been avoided, and we had a candle vigil for him yesterday. Now, being a man that was a member of our community and a huge member of the Rogers Park community, you think they would have put out um, some sort of notifications for us so we could have been there for him. Really find that I found that to be in poor taste to have a vigil and not invite everybody. I mean, personally, I would have made flyer after flyer, slapped them on every tree that's within a half-mile radius, or circumference or perimeter, because in the end, these are the people that know him best. And if you are in the Devon area, you know who we're talking about. You know the guy we're talking about. And Sal was unlike anybody else. It was actually kind of cute that he always had this big crush on my mom, and even I think he even invited my mom on a date once. I thought that was funny. I totally screwed up. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't start our celebratory bowl, which we do this every episode. So luckily, I always come prepared. So for all you guys watching, cheers. Christine, cheers. Always like to start the show with a nice toke. So I just wanted to get the Sal situation set out before that. All right. So the area of West Rogers Park is becoming very strange. It's become very strange. Um, this is the area that I grew up in for a certain amount of time. Um, Christine is saying she can't smoke indoors over there. Oh man, that sucks. Um, that means you got to buy one of those special bowls that has the top on it. I have one, and uh, I take mine out every episode, and this is the top for it. But no, this is the bowl. This is the top. The top does not fit the bowl. For some reason, it just does not fit. I have done everything I can to clean it. I've boiled it. I've scraped it down using a toothpick to get the resin out of the actual spirals and the crevices. But nothing works. So that sucks because, otherwise it would be a great, bowl to take when you're on the go. Because that's when you're at work or whatever, uh, I was just getting to this point, and it's funny that Christine is saying to just vape, because I was literally just about to say that the top doesn't fit, and when you're at work or you're out and you're gonna be out all day, the thing you're gonna need the most is a Wesley Pipes My wooden one was great because it just had a special top that you can turn to open up, take a hit, and then you could turn to close it. And this is the time where people would definitely enjoy their vapes. And I am not a vapor. I love flowers. And if I can't see my bud, I don't trust my bud. I want to be able to see it, know what it looks like, and also I'm kind of snobby that way. I like to see I want the. It has a kind of a crystal effect when you buy the best weed possible. It has these like glistening, almost glowing like. Crystallization that it just makes the bud, and it makes the flower even that much prettier. um I went way off topic here. Just want to talk about pot. um like I had said before, I've been a long time marijuana advocate, and not see, the thing was, I was one of the things that I had was definitely not the um, medical marijuana advocacy. I mean, of course, I'm for that, but I was the one always fighting the recreational legalization, because it's just a matter of statistics, facts, common sense, whatever you want to call it. People die from alcohol. They just do. Whether you die from alcohol poisoning or something you've done because you were drinking. Now, I've never smoked a bowl and said, I really feel like driving 100 miles an hour. That's something a drunk would do. And as a stoner, it's more like, you know what? I can't even get my keys to get in the stupid lock, so to open my car door, so I'd rather just walk to the store. So that argument has always been hilarious. The way that they have made originally tried to demonize marijuana, and I'm not talking about the reefer madness era. I mean much later on. I remember at one point a Republican legislator had actually tried to pass this through as if this was fact and that we weren't going to tear this argument to shreds. He had actually said that marijuana is the number one cause of car wrecks with people under the age of 25. Turns out that statistic was so wrong that actually alcohol was number two, and number one was as simple as can be: unattentive driver. That is the number one cause of car accidents. And with your cell phones, GPSs, all the stuff that you have programmed to what used to be the cigarette lighter, those are um, a much higher risk factor to your mortality rate than marijuana has ever been. Now, as for diamonds, Christine, I don't know why you're apologizing. I've never heard of diamonds. I don't even know what that is. Um, do you remember the anti-pot commercial where the stoners who run over the little girl while leaving a fast food place? Um, that I think Chappelle Show did the best job on making fun of that. That it turned out that commercial. I love the way they flipped it around, and the commercial was the three guys from Half Baked, and this is, I believe, the first episode of Chappelle Show. So they reenacted that commercial, but instead had the three actors from Half Baked, which of course was such a awesome reunion where all fans were flipping out. But what was even funnier than that was the fact that they hit the girl. It's supposed to be hitting they hit the girl on the bike, and I think they even drive off and freak out. And then at the very end, while the people are laughing, I think that people missed that little joke that was at the very end, saying, "If you're 12 years old and riding a bike, don't smoke marijuana." So they completely turned it around, saying it wasn't that stoner's fault; it was the stoner bike rider, the 12-year-old little girl. Um, and if you watch that, you'll notice the crowd is actually laughing over the voiceover that's telling the joke. So I really do think they missed that punchline. Um, let we wouldn't. Oh, okay. Maybe at least we wouldn't be there. Um, yeah, I definitely agree with you. A real stoner will first of all have to check the bag and make sure because, as Joe Pesci had said so famously in Lethal Weapon 2, they always fuck you at the drive thru. So, yeah, first of all, nobody just takes off. Most people will have to look through their bag, check it. Um, and it was also kind of funny because even though you're 12 years old riding a bike, you're still riding past a drive through. You think you'd be a little bit more attentive. So the commercial was always so easy to tear apart. Just like that argument that the man made, the Republican made about the number one cause being stoners. And so when they found out that actually number one was the unattentive drivers, two was alcohol, three was actually, I think it was actually something like cocaine was actually higher than the than marijuana, and uh, I just thought that was hysterical, and it was also proven again by the TV show that Penn and Teller had on Showtime. That was originally called Humbug. They changed the name to Bullshit because humbug wasn't a very modern term anymore. But the whole basis of that joke is that back in the Houdini days, he would travel from place to place and get on trains, whatever he had to do. If he heard of any kind of medium that can talk to the dead and do this and that, he would go out to exploit them and not exploit them, but expose them. And he would. There's a famous picture of him where he basically uses a lantern to show that the person that was apparently talking to the dead and the dead was talking back to them, it turned out she was actually reaching, lowering her head down into a tube that was going towards the wall to the other side of the room and had a funnel there, a sound funnel. So it would kind of like a bullhorn basically amplify the voice so she could speak softly and it would still be able to be heard. So not only would it amplify the voice, but it would also misdirect the voice's location. So many people back then were falling for it that Houdini had to see this, went through that seance, and as soon as he had noticed that the voice similar to the palm reader, the medium, the phony psychic, I don't even like to say phony psychic because every psychic is a phony, so it's kind of redundant, but he definitely had pulled out the lantern, pointed over at that corner where funnel was located, and it's probably my favorite photo um, I've ever seen, and um, yeah, I'm a huge Houdini fan. Not because of magic per se, but because he was more than a magician. He was a outspoken member of society that didn't like the idea of people being fooled, and he fooled people for a living. But he told people this is not magic, this is an illusion. And, he definitely helped shape that very uh, fine line between magic and simple, I guess, just being clever. That's really it. And then you have guys like John Edwards and uh, if anyone remembers the name of the girl from Montel, she was constantly on Montel Williams. She actually had and I remember my mother loved this woman. God, for some reason I can't remember her name, but she had told this family that their daughter was dead, and this poor family had to believe her for years, I believe for decades. And it turned out the girl was alive. She was not only alive, she was in the same Sylvia Brown. Thank you very much, Christine. Sylvia Brown. What was sad was that she was not only not dead, but she was actually in the same city the whole time. And I don't think she was more than 5 miles away. And she was just being held against her will in like a basement. And I believe she eventually broke free, found her escape, and took it. That to me really that should be enough to say, hey, can we stop believing in this bullshit? Can we stop? And that did stop a lot of the Sylvia Browns and John Edwards from having their own TV shows, and they're heavily edited to make them look right almost all the time. When in fact, those shows actually go 3 hours long, and only about 20 minutes of it is accurate, and it's just basic cold reading, and in some cases it was hot reading. Hot reading is when you do know the person and you know them well enough to know what their problems are. uh, it's not like cold reading, but cold reading is just as easy, in the sense that you just have to look at someone, see how they're dressed, see how they carry themselves, and you can base their attitude, or you can base their income or just on their attitude. Now that's complete bullshit because again, I've seen shows where they've had millionaires just dressed like poor people and poor people dressed like millionaires, and of course they'll say something like, well, of course money is no issue for you. Meanwhile, the poor guy in the nice suit is kind of laughing to himself because he knows that this woman's just cold reading him. Now, if I were to read further into Christine, let's see. As for the diamonds are concentrated keef nuggets. That sounds like the greatest thing I've ever heard. I can only imagine how much a place like Zenleaf would charge for that. But um, if they had made it into, I don't know, some sort of like, I guess it would be like the size of a bouillon cube. That would probably be like $50 right there. Because I actually now, if you don't know what Keef is, for anyone that watches the reruns, if you don't know what Keef is the orange hairs and the little accoutrement that comes with the bud. It's not just solid green. There's orange hairs, there's white hairs, and so Keef is basically those things. And I had a an ex-wife that spent, I think, 3 hours one day out of boredom to get all of the Keith removed from an actual eighth of marijuana. And I remember the marijuana that we smoked was not really that strong. And then we had filled the entire bowl with keef, and it was just enough to fill the bowl. And I don't even think it filled it all the way. So we had only gotten about a couple of hits out of it. But yeah, when you say dang strong stuff, I can attest to that. It was some very, very strong shit after two hits. I think we got two or three hits out of it, and I couldn't believe how stoned I was from that. And yeah, none of that point, maybe at no point at that time did I feel like, hey, I'm gonna go drive around and run over some kids or something. Or at no point did I ever say, hey, I'm gonna go beat my wife, or hey, I'm gonna go outside and pick a fight with somebody. I just remember being really stoned out of my mind, and I think I was watching Captain EO or it was either Moonwalk or Captain EO. But I remember I had to watch I was watching. I didn't have to, but I love Michael Jackson, so I remember we watched like Captain EO and Moonwalker. Um, Captain EO is not an easy movie to find. It's a very rare movie. I originally saw it in Universal Studios Florida, and it was 3D, and it was a total trip. And I remember thinking, this has got to be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Being such a fan of his, and knowing that most of his music videos were theatrical and cinematic quality videos. Um, Now that we finally moved on to the subject of music, and I got about 10 minutes left here, I really wanted to get in the subject of new music because I'm very shocked at this year's um, releases. Now, I'm a big fan of Louis Capaldi. I'm a way bigger fan of a band, Tool. Now, Tool had made us wait, 15 years for this album to come out. It comes out, and I could not believe that I waited so long for this. It was a lot like watching the new Halloween movie. It's like, you had 40 years to come up with an ending for this, and this is what you got? Seriously? So, with Tool, I felt the same way. Then, Louis Capaldi came out with a new song kind of recently. And it seemed like he was trying to rehash his last album, which was perfect. I thought that album was absolutely perfect. The fact that he didn't win a single Grammy that year really shows you how stupid and how mainstream and pretentious these judges really are. I mean, and I've heard cases of the judges never even hearing some of the albums they even vote for. They vote for it simply because of the record labels that send them quote unquote gifts, but it's probably just stacks of money. I picture the scene from Better Call Saul when Don Eladio is in his mansion and Hector pulls out, a good amount of money, put in little bandit, wrapped in rubber bands, and then Don Bolsa brings out Gustavo's money, and it is sealed airtight with this like plastic, kind of like a vacuum seal that we have now for our luggages and for shirts. If you're trying to make room, you plug that you plug a kind of like a reverse vacuum into the plastic bag, and then it sucks it up with so much oxygen and air that the entire thing flattens out. So when they bring Gustavo's money that he's contributing, and he's not even there, he brings, somebody just brings his money in, and it's just these beautiful stacks of humongous amounts of cash. And that's kind of how I pictured it. So, as I was saying, you know, when you're trying to rehash an album that was so great, and then try to give me the same exact album or the same sound, there's no evolution to it. It didn't grow. It really didn't wow me. Then the new Slipknot had come out, and they're going a whole new route. I completely understand evolution, and you never want to make the same album twice, but there is kind of a thing as going a little too far away from your base. And I can honestly say, if you listen to the song Slipknot Adderall, it is gotta be the worst thing I've ever heard from this band, and I have loved everything they've done since 1998. I was one of the people fighting for Volume 3 when people were shitting on it because they made an acoustic song. I will always love Slipknot, just as I always loved Green Day, but if you make a bad album, you make a bad album, you know? And so I kind of started getting used to this, and, it just wasn't the same. And Offspring comes out with Let the Bad Times Roll. And this album was so amazing because it's evolved, but it definitely has a new version of the song Gone Away, which was on Ixnay on the Hombre, and it was probably one of the best songs I've ever heard about losing a friend. But if you remember a little while ago, Five Finger Death Punch did the tribute to Chester Bennington, and I have nothing but or cover something that you just don't have the chops for, you know. Dexter Holland has a very specific voice, and only Dexter can hit those certain notes. And so Offspring comes out with their version, and it just murders. It's awesome. And so, Eminem came out with a new great album. You had Offspring come out with their new album, which is amazing. And of course, the new Blink album's coming out. And with the song Edging, the biggest fear that I had was simply, is the humor going to be there? Because if you're a Blink fan, then you're a fan of humor, because they were not a Green Day ripoff. they had riffs that were similar in sound to Green Day, but in no way, shape, or form were they copying, because they have their own grooves, their own styles. I'm sorry you're having connection problems. Hopefully that gets resolved. Um, and they had a sense of making things so much fun that when we can tell you're having fun, and this is totally apparent, when we can tell you're having fun, we want to be a part of that fun. We want to be with you on that. And if you listen to the Mark Tom and Travis show, which is a live album, but you feel like you're there. There's so much banter between the two that even at points it seems like they're so harsh to each other that it just makes it that much funnier. And I'm worried that they're not gonna get the appreciation that they deserve because of that style of angry humor. And if they take that away, then it's gonna be that self-titled album all over again, which is where they lost me. And the last song that I liked, I Miss You, but everything off that album was pretty simple, and I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel any of the love that every other album had. I thought it was taking itself way too seriously. So hearing the new track Edging has really put my faith back into music, and I no longer feel like what I'm doing over here with Useless Agent, I no longer feel like I'm the only one doing this. MGK coming out and trying to make music like that, it was hilarious. It was adorable. I won't even say nice try because it wasn't. Uh, there's no redeeming qualities about that kid, and I have zero care for him in the world. Unfortunately, I recently heard something that he had said that made me respect him to a degree, but again, I don't. Uh, I'm not gonna full on say, oh, I respect him 100%. I respect him to an extent. He basically had said something along the lines of not needing to be 100% technical to be a good guitarist. It's absolutely true. You don't need to come from Juilliard to be a great musician. You don't need to take tutoring lessons and learn the entire English language and know every single nomenclature, phrase, word known to man. You don't need all that to get through to someone. You just have to emote. So that I can 100% agree with him on that. It's everything else he's ever said that's just just dumb. And I feel dumber for having to watch it. So there has also been a new single out by Green Day that is the only album art I've seen on Spotify is that it says Nimrod, and in the O of Nimrod it says XX5. So I'm like, okay, so they're saying it's the 25th anniversary. Does this mean that this is just going to be a bonus track? I don't know. Was this originally a track that was supposed to be on Nimrod? I doubt it because of the way that it's produced, the way that it sounds, the fact that the bass is higher than the guitar. I am leaning more to the side that it is a new song because of that sound. But again, just like Blink, the lyrics are there, the taste is there. Everything is back to where I feel like it should have been the whole time. And um, I really don't mean to crap all on Slipknot. I love Slipknot, and especially Corey and Jim. And they're some of the heaviest thinkers, and the work that Travis Barker does. I don't know why he would want to help out that MGK kid. Maybe he also thought he was cool, but at first. But the work that Travis Barker and Corey Taylor did with horror was, I mean, top shelf fucking awesome. I mean, it was a mixture of Prodigy, Deftones, and Slipknot, but with a very strong hardcore rap style, which some people call it, some people have different names for it. They can call it horror rap or goth rap or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I just think the shit was awesome. I mean, it really was. So, yeah, I feel like there is a resurgence for rock coming up, and I'm going to put out more pictures because I've been putting out pictures of the new shirts. In case you guys are wondering anything about Useless Agent, we are working hard on new things. We have Christine, who's on the message board. She is one of our illustrators, and she's going to be working on a new symbol for us, which I'm looking forward to seeing. The symbol that was made by Jay Santiago, I can't thank the guy enough. It was exactly what the music needed, was something to stand behind it. I mean, I hate the idea that music is required to have an image, but to an extent it kind of does. There should be a cool symbol, like the Blink-182 symbol later on in the day. They were, I just did not like it. I love the Loser Bunny cartoon, but I did not care for the symbol for the self-titled album. And so there is a basis there, or a basic idea for the symbol, and Jay Santiago really showed his chops on building that for us. And so with Christine being the new illustrator to give us more, she had designed a previous band that I was in called Horrible Liar. She had created the Horrible Liar monkey that I had made shirts out of, and I absolutely love her art. And that's the reason why I go to the people I go to. And so, again, like I said, I'm still in talks with the model to make sure that everything is cool with having the Ruby Blaze photo. I'm sorry, Ruby Blaze shirt, t-shirt. But as for the symbol itself, we will have white tees, white long sleeves, even black. And when Christine gets our new snake ones, I'm thinking, depending on the color scheme, might go for like a military green style. But the point is that these pictures will be coming up, and so stick with us and bear with us. We're doing everything we can. We are not rich people, and so our entire work is thanks to the people that are helping us, like Christine, Jay, DJ Patton, even Ruby Blaze, but there's so many other people that help me out with this stuff that honestly, in some cases, I don't think we'd be nearly as far as we are. And if you look at the numbers on SoundCloud, we are doing very well. So please stay with us. Remember, if you know anyone or if you yourself are dealing with any kind of mental health issues and you honestly feel alone, you are absolutely not. And so please, if you don't want to go the professional route and you don't feel like talking to a complete stranger, know that you are loved. And I don't know you, but I love you too. Just go on over to uselessagentmusic@gmail.com. We are happy to talk to you, and we are happy to be a part of your progress. And you're never ever alone on this giant blue ball. As much as we feel like it, and especially with COVID shutting everyone down, depression is higher than ever. And we definitely empathize with it, and I deal with it every day. So please, if you know anyone going through that, be there for them. If you can't, send them to us and we will do the best we can. We love you all. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, please take care of your neighbors. And we love you all. And I'll see you guys on the other side. All right? Thanks a lot, guys. Useless Agent is on your TV, laptop, or your PC, whatever you call it. Useless Agent is on your Facebook, laptop, or your PC, whatever you call it.